Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's podcast of My Future Africa. And today we'll be looking at the effect of COVID-19 on the future of Africa. In today's podcast, we'll be looking at the health impact, the impact on education, and the economic impact of COVID-19 in Africa presently and in the future. The supposed origin of COVID is Wuhan, China, and um, we are very, very surprised at some of the events that have been happening all around the world, especially what happens to be a surprising celebration in Wuhan, the very city where the virus started from a few months ago. We could see that in earlier last year there was a celebration there to kind of show that Wuhan had overcome um, COVID. Now, one would assume that China would at least show some respect to the world given the number of deaths that this has caused, but it seems as though they were more interested in advertising the communist and forceful system of government, which is known to oppress people not just in China but also in some parts of the world. We can look at the case of the re-education camp of the Uyghur Muslims in China, and we can also look at cases where Chinese students abroad are being threatened by the Communist Party when they make statements that exposes some of the actions of the Communist Party in China. Many African countries have not made the best decision during this crisis. Rather than supporting and encouraging local solutions to this pandemic, you can almost see African countries replicating Western solutions, which in many cases might not work for us. Yes, we could copy their ideas, but we must fine-tune these methods to suit Africa, given that the weather, the lifestyle, and the economic structure of Africa is different. So let's go into the various sectors, and we'll start with the health impact. Currently in Africa, we seem to be doing really well. In fact, Africa seems to be doing best when it comes to handling COVID-19 globally. But we must say that it is by the grace of God and by the cooperativeness of many Africans as well. We must give credit to this. And yes, there are some government within Africa that seems to also be, doing their best. So we must also give credit to them. We also hope that the current state of health in Africa gets better, but we must encourage the development of local solutions. I must reiterate on that, the development of local solutions for Africa. We have brilliant scientists, and African leaders must make good use of them to show better leadership. Now let's go to education. This is a very important sector that must not be overlooked, because the future of Africa is very dependent on these little ones, these ones who have been at home now for months, probably headed to a year now. Many of these kids have been sent back home and have not been able to access school. Now in America, there's a lot of analysis going on, and the students seem to be, especially students from families that are not well to do, they seem to be lagging behind. But nobody is looking at Africa. Many African countries are not connected to the internet. That means that many of the kids are not even having access to enough educational materials. And even where there is internet, there is not very good infrastructure to connect the teachers with the students. So, we must look into this, and given the fact that COVID-19 doesn't seem to be having such a dangerous effect on kids, we must look into ways to get around this so as not to compromise our future, because we have the biggest youth population, or we have the youngest population in the world, and if we don't cater to them now, we are looking at a problem in future. So education must be taken really seriously. People shouldn't be sent out of universities. Our higher institutions have, they should be functional. The secondary school should be functional. The primary school should be functional, because at primary level, kids need to be continually trained, until they can be able to stand on their own. So this must be taken very seriously. Now, finally, let's look at economic sector. Economically, some African countries are in a big mess because some make millions from tourism, which is currently severely affected. We can look at the case of Zambia, the first country in Africa to default on their loan. Zambia is basically drowned in Chinese loans, and God knows when Zambia will get out of this situation. Some other African nations also collected very large loans, which may impact or which may take a very long time for them to repay. This could have a very significant impact on the way the these countries are run in the future. In future, certain sectors in the economies in African countries might not easily recover due to our dependence on Western nations and the currency, money to be specific. Many African countries have dependence on the dollar or the euro, or even the franc. We have all our currencies connected to these Western nations, and for many years now, we have been unable to bring out a single African currency that we could use for trading within Africa. Now, attempts have been made in West Africa to create a single currency, the echo, but we could see what happened last year as the French government stepped in at the last moment to pretty much dismantle all the plans, and the plan to have the echo was pretty much gone. We must build a formidable market within Africa in order to get over this collectively, because this COVID pandemic could really set the continent back by many years. On another note, this pandemic seems to have been handled pretty easily by China, which has raised many eyebrows. There are many stories in the air regarding this virus. Some have questioned the true origin because, as of January 2021, as of early January 2021, China refused access to WHO and later allowed access to some of their staffs and banned some from coming in because they couldn't pass the antibody test. But people have speculated that weaponry could be involved, but we must not speculate until everything is known. It's really sad. It's very heartbreaking what's going on around the world. Finally, to solve this, African leaders must get involved with the youth population to come up with workable solutions to these problems. But we must work together. We are capable of overcoming this. So that's all I have for you all today on this podcast. And for those who are new to this channel, this is My Future Africa. You can find us on YouTube by going to by typing My Future Africa on YouTube, and you can also find us on Facebook and on Instagram. So feel free to follow us to enjoy more of our podcast, and we'd like to encourage you to follow us, to like and subscribe, whichever may apply. So we'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.